Tom Jones came into this world on a mild summer day, June 7, 1940, in Pontypridd, a small town in the Rhondda Valley of Wales. His life is a long symphony, where the high notes of fame and singing blend with the low notes of sadness and loss, creating a story that is both brilliant and haunting. At the age of 84, looking back on his journey in 2025, he realizes that life is not all about the bright stages and the applause from millions of spectators, but also the quiet moments where he faces himself and the pain that cannot be erased. From his early days, singing in the pubs of Pontypridd, to becoming one of the greatest singers of the 20th century, Tom Jones has lived a life full of passion, but also full of tears. His greatest sorrows, his turbulent career, his longed-for achievements, his enduring but challenging love for Melinda Trenchard, his relationship with his children, Mark Woodward and Jonathan Berkery, and the words shared by his son Jonathan, all blend into one long, tragic, and beautiful song, which he sings from the heart. Tom Jones grew up in a working-class family in Pontypridd, where music was a comfort in the dark days. His father, Thomas Woodward, was a miner who worked in the dark coal mines of Wales, dreaming of a stable life for his son. His mother, Frida Jones, was a gentle housewife who sang folk songs in the kitchen, instilling a love of music in young Tommy. From an early age, he was captivated by the melodies of church and the songs he heard on the old radio in the house. But if he had to pick the greatest sadness in Tom Jones's life, it was not the poverty of his days in Pontypridd, nor the tuberculosis that forced him to miss 2 years of school as a child. His deepest sorrow came on the 10th of April, 2016, when Melinda Trenchard, his wife of 59 years, died of lung cancer, leaving him with an unfillable void and a deep regret for the times he had not appreciated her enough while she was alive. Melinda's death was a huge blow to Tom Jones. They had met when they were both 15, on a fateful afternoon in Pontypridd, and married in 1957 when he was 16, and she was pregnant with their first son, Mark. Melinda had been more than just his companion. She had anchored him through the crazy years of fame, when he was caught up in fleeting romances and the glitz of Hollywood. When she was diagnosed with lung cancer in 2015, Tom was busy with shows and his role as a coach on The Voice UK. He cancelled some schedules to be with her, but deep down, he knew he could never make up for the years he had left her alone while he was traveling the world. On the day she died in a Los Angeles hospital, he sat by her bedside, held her hand and cried silently as she whispered, "Tommy, don't be so sad." The sadness was not just the loss of a wife, but also a sense of regret for the times he had put his career before his family. This sadness was compounded by other hardships in his life. As a young man, Tom faced the isolation of tuberculosis, ostracized by his friends, and forced to stay home for 2 years from the ages of 12 to 14. Later, when fame came, he felt lonely in the crowd, when people around him only saw him as a star and not an ordinary person. But Melinda's death in 2016 was the culmination of all the pain, a wound that he carried with him throughout the last years of his life. He once said in his autobiography, Over the Top and Back, that every time he sang "I Won't Crumble With You If You Fall," the song he wrote for Melinda, he cried because he missed her, because of the promises he could not keep when she was alive. That sadness did not break Tom Jones, but became a source of inspiration for him in music and life. He continued to perform after her death, with the reason that it was the only way he could feel close to her, because she always loved his voice. For him, the greatest sadness is not just the loss, but the journey of learning to live with it, making it a part of who he is. Looking back at the age of 84, he realized that it was that sadness that helped him mature, helped him understand the value of love and sacrifice. Tom Jones' career has been a long journey of brilliant highs and dark lows. He began singing as a child, performing in churches and local pubs in Pontypridd. In 1963, aged 23, he joined Tommy Scott and the Senators, where he honed his deep voice and explosive performance style. Real success came in 1965 when he signed with Decca Records and released the single It's Not Unusual. The song quickly became a worldwide hit, reaching #1 in the UK and reaching the top 10 in the US, making Tom Jones an international star. His powerful voice, sexy style, and explosive stage presence made him an icon of the 60s, with hits such as What's New Pussycat, Delilah, and She's a Lady, dominating the charts. Tom Jones's success did not stop with music. From 1969 to 1971, he hosted the U.S. television show This Is Tom Jones, which attracted millions of viewers and earned him a Grammy nomination. He continued his career with best-selling albums such as Reload, 1999, collaborations with younger artists such as Robbie Williams, and a strong comeback in his later years with Praise and Blame, 2010, and Spirit in the Room, 2012, which were praised by critics for their depth and maturity of voice. His role as a coach on The Voice UK since 2012 has also helped him connect with a new generation of audiences, with his first win in 2016 alongside contestant Ruti Olajugbagbe. At the age of 80, he continues to perform around the world, with his album Surrounded by Time, 2021, reaching #1 in the UK, making him the oldest artist to achieve this feat. But his career was not always smooth sailing. One of his biggest failures came in the late 1970s, when he was criticized for chasing disco and losing his identity. His 1977 album, Say You'll Stay Until Tomorrow, failed to achieve the success he had hoped for, and he sat in his Los Angeles recording studio, watching his forgotten tracks, crying because he felt he had lost his way in trying to follow the trends. He spent months experimenting with a new sound, but the failure left him doubting his abilities, pushing him into a period of personal crisis. Another failure he can't forget was when he was fired from The Voice UK in 2015 after 4 seasons. He once said in an interview that the decision came as a shock when the BBC announced he was being replaced without giving a clear reason. He had prepared for the 5th season, writing notes and planning training, but when he received the news, he sat alone in his London living room, tears streaming down his face. He cried not because he had lost his job, but because he felt he had lost value in the eyes of those who had believed in him. The setback led to his temporary retirement, but he returned strongly in 2017 when ITV invited him back to the show. Tom Jones's efforts in his career have often made him cry. When filming the video for Green, Green Grass of Home in 1966, he had to sing it dozens of times to get the feeling perfect, and after a long day, he cried in his car, both exhausted and happy when he finished. Later, when performing I Won't Crumble With You If You Fall after Melinda's death, he often cried on stage, not because he was sad, but because he felt her presence through every note. His career has been a series of constant efforts, and each time he cried, he found the strength to continue. For Tom Jones, achievements are not just awards or fame, but milestones that he always strives to reach to affirm his worth. One of his biggest goals is to become a singer who will be remembered for generations, not only for his voice, but also for his ability to connect emotionally with audiences. When he won his first Grammy in 1966 for Best New Artist, he dreamed of one day performing on the biggest stages in the world, bringing Welsh music to the world. He achieved that with concerts in Las Vegas, the Royal Albert Hall, and even the White House, but he still strives to maintain that legacy. He also wanted to leave a musical legacy for his children, Mark Woodward and Jonathan Berkery, and the next generation. After the success of Reload, he began writing more, hoping to create songs that were more personal to him. He would sit in his Los Angeles studio for hours, writing lyrics about Melinda and his hometown of Pontypridd. And every time he finished a song, he would smile with the belief that he was building something that would last. Surrounded by Time is a testament to that effort, and he hopes his children will be proud to hear those songs in the future. Tom Jones also strives to be an inspiration to young artists. As a music legend, he often shares his experiences with contestants on The Voice UK, encouraging them to pursue their passions despite the difficulties. When Ruti Olajugbagbe won in 2018 under his guidance, he cried with emotion, feeling that he had passed on the passion to a new generation. He also wanted to inspire the audience, showing them that age is not a limit to living life to the fullest with passion. In addition, he longed to perform on the big stage again before retiring, not to prove anything to the public, but to prove to himself that he still had the strength to sing. After Surrounded by Time, he began planning a final tour, where he would sing his old hits and tell his life story. Despite his failing health at the age of 84, he practiced every day, believing that one day his dream would come true. For Tom Jones, success is not a destination, but a journey. And at 84, he is still walking that path with all his heart. Tom Jones' love and marriage have been an emotional chapter in his life, with joys mixed with deep sadness. He met Melinda Trenchard, his only wife, in 1955 when they were both secondary school students in Pontypridd. They fell in love quickly, and when Melinda became pregnant at the Aggie,